Hey guys, it's Charlene. We are going to be doing a really fun technique today with some alcohol inks. So you can see I'm working with a piece of vellum. I've got some 91% isopropyl alcohol blending solution, my little puffer guy there, and then I am going to start right away and jump in and put some blending solution directly onto my vellum. Then I'm going to take one of these little felt pads and I'm going to put it on my little dauber base that I have, and I'm going to squeeze a couple of different colors onto the felt pad. I'm using Sunshine Yellow, Dijon, and Sienna. So the technique I'm doing today is really cool. I'm going to show you what I think is probably one of, if not my most favorite ways to make something look like honey. This is perfect for the springtime and all of those cute little honeybee cards that you're going to be making going forward. So I just squirt a little bit onto that felt pad, and now I can dab around on the piece of vellum. This is a really good way to start off when you're doing alcohol inks because you can get a full coverage first layer that when you then add some blending solution, which I'm doing now, and blow it around, it's going to make all the colors kind of combine and it's going to give you a really nice first layer. Now, the blending solution generally helps things blend together, and then the isopropyl alcohol is what kind of helps the colors push apart. Things get a little wonky when you're working with vellum because vellum is a type of plastic, so it doesn't work quite the same way as if you were using Yupo or something like that. But Yupo also has some kind of coating on it, so I'm not 100% sure what that is. I'll have to look that up. But I'm coming in with the different colors of the orange and yellow, and there's like the sienna's kind of like a orangish red, really pretty. And I'm just adding a few drops here and there, adding some blending solution, using that little felt pad and tapping it on if I feel like I need to get some more added coverage. And then once I really like my colors that I have going, I am going to use some of this gold mixative. This mixative is so cool. You just want to make sure it's shaken up really well. And you got to hear that little ball inside rattling all over the place on the inside. And then I'm going to add a little bit of blending solution directly over those dots. That's going to help the gold mix in with the colors. And you're going to see where I'm going with this. At the end, it just is going to look fantastic. So now I'm going to drop in a little bit more of the alcohol, and you can see how it kind of pushes the colors apart and it brings out that base layer of the clear vellum. So just play around. Really, you can't go wrong with alcohol inks. If you don't like the way something looks, just add some more color or add some more alcohol, or whatever you need to do to get it to a point where you really like it. I would say just hang out till towards the end before you add the gold, because you really don't want to get that gold too mixed into things. You just want it to kind of lightly mix in. And this technique will work for any style of honey bee card. You're going to see. Here is the very last thing you're going to do. Once you get it where you like it, you're going to take some tweezers and you are going to pick up your paper and hold it at an angle. And then you're just going to lightly squirt the blending solution along the edge so that way it drips down. And as it drips down, it's going to pull together all those colors and make it look like honey is dripping down the page. So cool. Wait until you guys see when this is dry. It looks amazing. Okay, so we're going to set that aside, let it thoroughly dry. And I'm working with this super cute stamp set from Photoplay Say It with Stamps. It's called Busy Bees. It's so cute. And I'm going to just show you how I'm coloring just one of the bees, but I do go ahead off camera and color the rest of them. I'm just using a couple of shades of yellow and then a yellow red to kind of for my dark color in there. And I will link down below to all of the products that I'm using today, as well as list the Copic marker colors that I'm using if you want to recreate this look. So I'm coming in, I'm putting my lightest color down, and then I put my darkest color, and then I go over the dark and kind of mix it into the light using a medium tone. And then I take the light and I mix that back in. And if I feel like it needs a little bit more shadow or something like that, I'm coming back in with my dark and then going over it again with my medium. And now you can do this a million times. Like I still struggle with coloring. And if you wanted to do something really basic, you could just do a light and a medium. You don't have to use as many colors as I'm using. Really, the goal at the end is just to make sure your stamps look super cute, and you can do that in a ton of different ways. You could watercolor, you could use colored pencils, you could use Copics or some other type of alcohol ink marker. All you have to do is get some color on those cute little bees. Now for blacks, when I'm putting black on a little insect like this, I like to use a really dark cool gray, and then for the shadow area use black and blend those in together. I also like to do my wings in a very light blue, and I just use just the light blue and I add some shading with it. So here you can see all of those cute little bees are all finished up, and I actually kept my stamps in my MISTI exactly where they were when I stamped initially with the Copic friendly ink. And now I'm coming in with some pigment ink, some VersaFine Clair, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp that and then put some clear embossing powder over the top. This is really going to help bring out those outlines, and it's going to just make those little bees pop. You're going to see, because it's going to have the shine from the embossing powder, and that black pigment ink is just such a pretty color of black. It's a really true black color, and it looks really, really nice and deep on the outlines of your stamps. So coming in, heating that all up with my heat gun. It doesn't take long at all. And then there are coordinating dies that go with this stamp set, so I'm using those. In addition to the honeybee stamps, there are other cute little stamps that go with the set. Like there's a little crown and a heart and different stuff like that. And now I am using the Build a Window number 6 die here. And you can use that to create all kinds of fun shapes and cutouts and things like that. And so I've gone in with these 3 small rectangles, and I'm going to go ahead and glue this directly down to the alcohol ink panel, which is now completely dry. Now I'm going to show you how you keep that alcohol ink from rubbing off. Now, if I had been smarter, I would have done it before I put my cardstock panel on top, but it still works. You can do it before or after. It's just a little easier to do it before you apply the cardstock on top of it. But all you're going to use is Distress Microglaze. I love this stuff, and it lasts forever. You can use it on your alcohol ink panels. You can use it on top of vellum that you've used alcohol ink on. You can use it over Distress Oxides. And what it does is it seals it, so that way if anything gets on there, it's not going to mess with it. And I don't know how it does this, but it magically makes it so you can't scratch or rub off the alcohol inks from vellum. I honestly have no idea how the magic works, but it's amazing. And there you have it. Look how beautiful that panel looks when it is in the light. So now I'm using this cute little honeycomb stamp, and you can see I've got my card base there. I'm just using that for a reference to see kind of where I want to stamp the honeycomb. So you can see it's kind of peeking through the vellum. That was my goal with this card, was I wanted it to look like the honeycomb was back behind the flowing honey, and I think it looks really awesome. I'm using 2 different colors here. I'm using Latte and Citrine, and I think those are really good colors because you could use black. I had initially thought I was going to use black, but then I decided to do this brown and this orange because I thought they would complement the alcohol inks, and I think it looks really cool with those kind of just barely peeking out from behind the vellum, and adds a nice little touch to the card. So I've stamped the various honeycomb spots in the latte, and now I'm coming in and just piecing in the citrine. And obviously not all of these are going to show through on the card, but I figured it was easier just to go ahead and cover the panel rather than keep putting the alcohol ink panel over the top of the card base over and over to see where I needed to put them. So I've got that done, and now I'm just going to glue the whole thing directly to my card front. You could pop this up with some foam tape, but I really wanted to be able to see the honeycomb pretty well through the vellum. And make sure when you are gluing this down, you can see I'm kind of turning it around several times. I needed to make sure that I was actually putting it on the way that the honey was dripping. So you can see I got myself confused and kind of spun it around a couple times, but I think I finally got it. So now once it's glued down on there, you can see it's got that little bit of honeycomb peeking through. And then I'm using one of these sentiments from the stamp set. This is Cute as Can Be. I think it's so cute. I use some VersaFine Clear again on there, and then I'm going to do some clear heat embossing again, just because I didn't want to wait the dry time, and also I like that added little bit of extra shine that you get from the heat embossing. Really, to get a showstopper wow kind of card, you guys, it's just a matter of taking the extra steps to really add the shine and to add the kind of oomph to your card. And it doesn't take that long. It feels like it does, but it really doesn't take that long to add those little extra bits, like that little bit of heat embossing and stuff like that. So coming in here, I've got some Doris strips. I'm going to pop up my sentiment. I almost always pop up sentiments on cards because it really makes them stand out. It draws your eye to the sentiment, and I think it looks really nice. It just adds that extra bit of dimension that can make a card really sing. And especially since I did not pop up the alcohol ink layer, I thought that the sentiment and the bees definitely needed to be popped up. So I'm going in here, and I could have cut out, using my dies, I could have cut out a layer of craft EVA foam, which I do quite often, but I'm actually trying to use up these 3D foam squares. I've got several different sizes, and it's kind of taking over some of my crafting space. So coming in here, I'm getting all of the release paper off of there, and I'm just using a little weeding tool to help me do that. And I'm putting my bees down, making sure that they're partly on the white cardstock and partly on that beautiful alcohol ink layer. And once I have all of these bees down, my card will be done. I hope you guys like this. Alcohol inks are one of those things that people tend to be intimidated by at first, at least I was. But once I actually got in there and just started playing a whole bunch and making just a bunch of different panels, I realized it's all about layering. That's all the magic is about the layering. You've got to put a couple of coats down on there. You got to move it around. You got to do some blending. You got to do some separating. And it's just a matter of continuing to layer up until you get some nice color. All right, guys, well, here is my finished card. That looks so awesome. I hope you like it. I hope you try this technique. It is so much fun. Thanks for hanging out with me for a few minutes. I hope you find some time to craft today, and I will be back again soon with another video. Until next time, happy crafting.